So in response, Charity opens up to Dotun and says she grew up in the suburbs of Georgia around not a lot of people who look like her. So I'm not going to say that Charity is lying, and I'm not going to call her a liar, but it was just so tough for me to believe this. Like, there were no black people in the suburbs of Georgia. Like, girl, please. Hi everyone, my name's Demetri and welcome back to DemetriTube, The Bachelorette, Night 4. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, so let's just dive right into it. First, we have a Golden Bachelor. ABC announced the Golden Bachelor and he's not cute. So don't get me wrong, I love a silver daddy, but this one ain't it. But in his defense, he looks amazing for 71 years old. Like, when I read that he was 71, I was shocked. He looks really good for his age. And that's probably why it took ABC so long to cast someone, because they wanted someone older, like probably 65 or older. And not only that, they wanted someone who looks good on camera and is also single. So to find that mix was probably really tough. Oh, and they also had to be willing to go on the show too. And yes, I do plan on watching, but I do have one question. Are we still getting Paradise? Because I would much rather watch Paradise over the Golden Bachelor, but hopefully we get both. But we'll just wait and see. Next, Clare Crawley is pregnant. She announced that she was pregnant on Instagram not too long ago, and she's having the child via surrogate, so she's not carrying the child herself, but I absolutely love this for her. Clare is truly getting all the things she wanted out of life, and I just love to see it. Also, this is gonna sound shady, but I'm not trying to be shady. If it can happen for Clare, it can happen for anyone. So keep believing. And last piece of news I have, Thurston is gonna be on FBoy Island. And when I first heard about this, I thought she was going to be like hosting a date or maybe even hosting the show, but apparently she's going to be one of the main contestants. And y'all, I'm telling myself I'm going to watch it, but I really don't know if I can get through another entire season with Katie. Y'all, I'm sorry, she's washed up. She got played so bad when she was on The Bachelorette, and I just don't understand why she's trying to do this again. The main goal for most of the guys is to play the women. So I'm not going to go into all the specifics of FBoy Island and the rules and stuff, but basically there's going to be 3 main women contestants, and at the end of the show they can either choose love with one of the guys or they can choose money. And I really don't see Katie not choosing money. She got played so bad the last time on The Bachelorette. Like, why would she risk that over just taking some cash? And lastly, I want to give you all my Bachelor prediction. Normally I do not do a Bachelor prediction because I don't care, and regardless of who they pick, I still plan to watch. Pretty much all the time they choose someone I don't want, but this season I actually do have a prediction. I think the next Bachelor is going to be John. Just in general, with the most recent Bachelors, they've chosen guys with a good image that you don't really know that well, and John pretty much fits that. And just given the crop of guys we have, I'm just really not seeing it for anyone else. We will see how Joey does at the end of this show, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna pick Joey. This is not shade by any means, but he's just not tall enough. So I think me and Joey are like the same height. He's probably like 5'10" or like 6 foot even, but the past 8 Bachelors have been 6'2" or taller, and keep in mind, out of those 8, only 2 of them were 6'2", 6'3". Most of them have been well over 6'3". Hey Justin, how are you? Sorry about that. That was work, I swear, and I just had to finish my thought because I didn't want to refilm it. Anyways, back to Joey. So Joey is by no means short. It's just for the Bachelor role, they like to pick giants. Typically giants who have played football before. And at the moment, I just don't think they're gonna pick Joey. Now, if I had my pick of Bachelor, I really think they should pick Caleb. Is it B? Caleb. Yeah, Caleb B. I would love for this show to just go in a whole new creative direction. Just pick someone young and fun who doesn't take themselves too seriously. But I know Bachelor is probably not going to do that. And that's all I got. Let's dive into the episode. So to start off this review, we're going to go ahead and go out of order, and we're going to start with the star of the show this week, Brayden. The episode starts and the contestants are in Stevenson, Washington, and Charity serves us a winter weather fantasy. She gives us this red jacket, a beanie, plaid gloves, and then we have this backdrop of this gorgeous mountain with a lake in the background. This was giving winter weather fantasy, and I know I say this all the time, but this show is just so much better when they film in cold places over the tropical places. I love this way more than them being in LA. When the contestants are in fall and winter environments, the show overall just looks more aesthetically pleasing. And just before the group date starts, Brayden gives us a new pair of boy earrings and he pairs it with a ponytail, and with this new look he is completely spiraling. This man is just spiraling all over the place. Clearly production got to him, the other contestants got to him, the environment is getting to him, and he has a one-on-one with Xavier and he says,
"You don't get to see her off. She's always going to be on. She's always going to be in that role of, like, I have to be the Bachelorette. I just want you to stop being the Bachelorette for 1 minute."
So just two things I want to say about this. First, he knows he's mic'd, right? Like, he's gotta know. But maybe he didn't think his mic was on because Brayden and Xavier purposely turned their backs away from the camera and looked at the lake. So I think Brayden was possibly trying to avoid the cameras, but like, he's gotta know he's mic'd, right? And second thing, he didn't really need to hide from the cameras because it's not like he said anything bad. He's not wrong. I literally said this about Charity during Zach Shallcross's season. Sometimes it just feels like Charity is putting on a show. And there are moments this season where it feels like she's putting on a show. And not only that, I think I said this last week or on my episode 2 review, I wish Brayden and Charity could just have 30 minutes together off camera. It will help their relationship a lot. And Brayden literally just said it. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Next, please do not think I'm calling Charity fake. By no means do I think Charity is fake, but I said this during their one-on-one date. Charity just seems to have like a little bit of a guard up with him, and Brayden recognizes that fact. So I'm team Brayden for this one because Brayden is not wrong, but in this episode, Brayden is getting a huge villain edit, and he's not really the villain. Aaron is the villain, which we are going to talk about later in this video. Next, y'all may have not caught this, but at the beginning of the episode, Joey and Aaron were having a one-on-one, and Joey tells Aaron that he appreciated what he did, and he was talking about basically like telling on Brayden to Charity. Joey, I was really disappointed in you in this moment. You're praising a snitch. And we're going to talk about this later in the video, but a lot of the guys are gassing Aaron's behavior, but Aaron is like a pawn to me. Brayden is very much digging his own hole. Aaron does not need to go and be the white knight on top of that. Now let's move on to the group date. So the contestants all meet up with Charity and a few Girl Scouts, and when we get a shot of the guys, we actually get a sneak peek of the new men's fall line coming from the Land's End catalog. And Charity serves us a cream colored winter fantasy. Absolutely love this outfit. She looks so good. I love this winter wear. She just looks so good. So for the date, the Girl Scouts ask the guys to show them how to survive in the wilderness, and whoever wins gets time with Charity under the kissing tree. So for this date, they had 5 minutes to try to find something to eat from the woods. And then for the second part of the date, the Girl Scouts just asked them some questions. Now, if I was on this date, I honestly would have just pulled a mint out of my pocket. And at one point, Aaron tried to find a fish in the creek. I was just confused because, like, was he gonna try to catch it barehanded? Like, does he know fish are slippery? And some of y'all are gonna drag me in the comments, but y'all, Brayden made this date so much fun. Somehow he found a radish. Like, I swore production gave that to him. And he was basically just having the time of his life, but all the other guys kept dragging him and saying he was doing too much. And then we also had this weird storyline of like Brayden trying to assert dominance because he wasn't wearing a jacket. And And then later on, Brayden is shirtless in a confessional, which was just very confusing to me. But let's be real, y'all. Brayden made this date and he stole the show. If Brayden was not on this date, it would have been so boring. And not only that, production was clearly trying to give him a bad edit by just showing all these confessionals of the other guys dragging him. But to me, he was the only one actually having fun with the kids, and he tried to make the kids laugh. Like, nobody else was really doing that well with the kids, but I thought Brayden was. And Sean really should have been clocked during this date, because at one point he called the kids demons. I thought that was a very poor move on his behalf, because women love when a guy is good with kids. And for Sean to call them demons, I was shocked Charity even kept him. And not only that, Brayden is getting the villain edit, and yet we got Sean out here calling little kids demons. So Aaron ends up winning the group date, and it was obvious that anyone but Brayden was going to win, because production wants Brayden to spiral even further. After that, we move on to the night portion. And yep, it's that time, outfit of the episode. For this week's outfit of the episode, I'm giving it to Charity during the group date. Charity is serving us this red oversized pantsuit, and the pants are like bell bottoms, and underneath the jacket, she's wearing this like darker red crop top bralette. And she pairs this outfit with a top knot and 2 tendrils and a necklace, and overall, this outfit was just an absolute slay. She looks so good. And one kudos that I must give Charity is that usually on this show, I often complain about the lack of accessories, but Charity is always accessorized, and I absolutely love that. She understands that like an extra bracelet or like an extra necklace or like a cute earring is just such a nice touch on top of a beautiful outfit. You can just tell she's one of those girlies that just cannot leave the house without earrings or she feels naked. So then we move on to the night portion, and Brayden serves us another pair of earrings, and we get a confessional, and he says he just feels like everyone is like being naive and he's the only one out of the group that's being real. So Brayden and Aaron end up getting into an argument because during the group date, Brayden said at the end of all of this, he just wants to be content. And while he's sitting with the other guys during this group date, Brayden says that his goal is to have a connection after this. So then Aaron and Sean basically come for him, and all the guys kind of get a little angry at him because they reiterate that the goal in the end of this is an engagement, not just a connection. And Aaron claps back at Brayden and says, "You're wasting everyone's time because you only want a connection." And this is why I do not with Brayden. Sorry about that, y'all. I was trying to make a very big point here, but I meant to say do not with Aaron. I don't with Aaron. Not Brayden. Let me go roll the clip. Did y'all watch the previews? I'm gonna roll this for you.
I know you want an engagement. I don't know if I can do that.
And this is why I do not with Aaron. Aaron is pretending to be a white knight when he's just as bad, if not worse, than Brayden. Aaron specifically tells Brayden, "Your actions have not matched with what you told Charity." And then previously on the group date, Aaron wrote on the chalkboard, at the end of this, he plans to be on one knee. And right now, Aaron is dragging Brayden because he's unsure if he wants an engagement at the end of this. But from the previews, he is also unsure if he wants an engagement after this. And this makes Aaron such a scumbag to me because he's literally dragging Brayden and trying to get him eliminated for something he's doing himself.
I know you want an engagement. I don't know if I can do that.
I'm sorry, y'all. Aaron is just so gross to me now. And what makes things worse is Brayden got a villain edit, but Brayden was not wrong. Let's keep it real, y'all. The last 5 Bachelorette engagements didn't work out. So wanting a connection is actually more realistic. Gabby's engagement didn't work. Rachel's engagement didn't work. Michelle's engagement didn't work. Katie Thurston's engagement didn't work. Tayshia's engagement didn't work. The odds of an engagement pulling through are just not high. So I totally get it. This show is supposed to end in an engagement, but as we've seen, most of the engagements don't work out. So ending in a connection is more realistic. And this whole thing was so wild because the whole group later on gangs up on Brayden, but what he was saying wasn't crazy. So then after that, Aaron and Sean dragged Brayden in front of Charity, and I just thought this was such a bad look. And Charity and Brayden have a one-on-one. Brayden is still very much unsure about the process, and Charity tries to reassure him, and it does not work out, so she ends up eliminating him and walking him out. And at this point in the episode, I was crying and I was super upset because I was just like, if Brayden's gone, who's gonna bring the drama? And not only that, we literally eliminated Brayden just to keep Aaron and Sean. Like, Charity, what are we doing? So Joey ended up getting the group date rose, but to be honest, none of the one-on-ones were really remarkable to me. Either that or I was just still torn up about Brayden getting eliminated. And right before she starts her date with Xavier, Charity has a confessional and she says,
I can feel a certain way about a person, but they aren't right for me.
and I love that she said that because that felt like growth to me. Anyways, so later in the episode, Brayden comes back during the cocktail party and Aaron is completely shook. He meets with Charity for a one-on-one and he apologizes for being so emotionally charged. And he also takes the blame for how things ended. And at this point, Charity is cordial and she talks to him, but she's very fed up with him at this point. And during this moment with Charity, I'm not sure if production forced Brayden to go back, but to me, it just seemed like Brayden wanted to end on a better note and like he just wanted some more closure out of the situation. To me, I think that's why he went back. So as Brayden is exiting towards the Uber XL, the guys get pretty upset because he took more time and Aaron tells him he's not a real man. And then all the guys basically gang up on Brayden as he's leaving and they're all like pretty upset about him. And there's just a couple things I want to point out about this moment. First, Brayden calls the guys jackasses, and I'm pretty sure he didn't mean all the guys, but in his defense, Aaron and Sean were being jackasses. Next, John tried to get a word in and he was very nice and very cordial about it, but Sean and Aaron just basically bulldoze over him and bring all this drama to Brayden, and it was just like so extra. And last thing I want to say, Aaron is such a scumbag to me. Brayden is already eliminated. He's going home. Yes, he took up a little more time, but for you to tell him he's not a man, that was just so unnecessary. And you literally were just trying to trigger a response from him. And Aaron just annoyed me so much with this episode because he's pretending to be a white knight and protecting Charity's honor, whatever, but he's coming for Brayden for something he's about to do. Aaron is mad at Brayden because he feels like at this point he's just playing with Charity's emotions, but he's gonna start playing with Charity's emotions in a future episode.
I know you want an engagement. I don't know if I can do that.
Aaron gets mad at Brayden because he says his words don't match his actions, but we've seen multiple times Aaron claims that if he's the one at the end, he's gonna propose, but then later in the episode, but later in the previews, we're seeing he's questioning proposing. So he's no better than Brayden. He's questioning Brayden's intentions for not wanting to propose, but later on, it looks like he doesn't want to propose either. So who are you really protecting, Aaron? And I think that's all I got on Aaron and Brayden. Last thing, I'm pretty sure Brayden earned a slot on Paradise, and I really hope he goes. I hope he does well, and I hope he gets a good redemption story because I think he deserves it after this season. But we also need to see how it goes down in the tell-all. I'm curious if Brayden is going to get another villain edit. Okay, now that we've completed the Aaron and Brayden saga, let's talk about the one-on-one with Dotun. So for the date, Charity and Dotun go bungee jumping. This is a classic Bachelor metaphor because, as you know, you can't just walk into love. You gotta fall into love. And overall, this was a really cool date. It was actually a really sweet location. Sorry, I forgot to add this. Apparently Dotun is afraid of heights, but I'm like, dude, you're like 8 feet tall. How are you afraid of heights? And then we move on to the night portion, and Charity and Dotun sit around a campfire. They make s'mores, and in the background, there's a ton of lamps. Whoever set up this scenery for the date did a really good job. It looked really romantic. And at one point, Dotun says he's never made s'mores proper before. And I'm just like, sir, didn't you get to the States when you were like 4 years old? How have you never made s'mores? And Dotun lives in New York, but I'm pretty sure he didn't grow up there. Like, I just don't get New York vibes from him. So I truly don't understand how he's never made s'mores. Like, he's never been curious to make it. That was kind of confusing to me. Anyways, Charity and Dotun also do the Lady and the Tramp moment with s'mores. And I would never do this. Like, marshmallows, when you roast them, are just way too sticky. Like, I wouldn't, this is not sexy. And also, I just think about all the stickiness of the marshmallows and it getting stuck to your lips. It just would not be cute. So during the one-on-one, Dotun opens up to Charity and tells about how he made it to the States. And long story short, his family won the green card lottery, which is very lucky, by the way. The chances of you winning that are so slim. So him and his family are just so blessed. And as you all know, on this channel, we're proud to be in America. So I'm so happy he made it here. So in response, Charity opens up to Dotun and says she grew up in the suburbs of Georgia around not a lot of people who look like her. So I'm not going to say that Charity is lying, and I'm not going to call her a liar, but it was just so tough for me to believe this. Like, there were no black people in the suburbs of Georgia. Like, girl, please. Y'all, Charity grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s in the suburbs of Georgia, and it is just so tough for me to believe that there were not a lot of other black people around. I just don't believe it. And not only that, if you don't know, so Georgia tends to be a place where a lot of black people do very well. So it was just tough for me to believe her. And not only that, Dotun and Charity's conversation just sounded so scripted. And I get it. A lot of y'all watching this video are Dotun stans, but to me, their conversation just sounded so scripted. And overall, Charity and Dotun's date was great. The bungee jumping was awesome. And then sitting around the campfire making s'mores, amazing, great pick by the producers. But when it comes to their connection, y'all, I'm sorry, I'm just still not seeing it. Next, we're moving on to the one-on-one with Xavier, and for the date, they go into town for a fruit festival, but Charity does give us more cold weather glam. She looked amazing. They step on pears, they bob for apples, and they taste some spicy pepper jam, and they also take a train. So long story short, Charity is just looking for something deeper with Xavier. She gets a lot of, oh my God, you're so pretty from Xavier, but she's looking for more. And y'all, Charity is so attracted to this man. If she could, I swear she would take him straight to the fantasy suites. It's just the way he looks at her and then the response she gives when he looks at her. Like, their physical attraction is just off the charts. But one downside of Xavier is that he is constantly reminding Charity of her ex. And she does recognize in her head that her ex and Xavier are two completely different people. So she wants to give Xavier a chance. After that, we move on to the night portion of the date, and I don't love Charity's dress. Like, I love the risk she took, but I don't love the dress. And in general, during this one-on-one, Xavier just has horrible camera presence. Like, Xavier is definitely my favorite pick, but he just has such bad camera presence. So if Charity is interested in influencing on TikTok with her man, then Xavier probably is not the best pick, but if she doesn't care about that, Xavier could work. So Xavier opens up to Charity and says he's worried about giving his all and not having it reciprocated back because that's what happened in his past relationship. And Charity opens up and says she's worried about infidelity. And she says her ex cheated multiple times. And Xavier at one point responds and he says, just to piggyback off that. And when he said that, I was just like, dude, this is a date, not literature class. And quick sidebar, Charity has such pretty brown eyes. Like, so just a little bit about me. I am a huge sucker for pretty brown eyes, and Charity just has some of the prettiest eyes I've ever seen. And last thing on the date, Xavier mentions he's working on his PhD, and what inspired him to get a PhD was the fact that his mom has multiple sclerosis, and in his PhD research, I guess he's searching for a cure for MS. So overall, this was a great date, and Xavier gave Charity the clarity she needed because he ends up getting the rose. So if I was in Charity's shoes, I would pick Xavier. like no contest. The only other person who may be in the running would be Tanner. We'll see how his one-on-one goes. I think we're getting a one-on-one with him next week. And it's really tough to put Tanner even in the running because we've basically seen nothing of him, but in his defense, he has a super deep voice. Like at one point he talked a little bit in this episode and I was like, ooh, he sounds like that.
Sorry, y'all. I forgot to include this when I was filming, but one more read I have on Xavier. So I think it's very noble of him to want to get a PhD and for the reasons he's doing it. But one read I do have is that PhDs are very expensive. And as Moneybag Biden announced, he ain't forgiving them student loansies. So if I was Charity, I'd be a little cautious with dating him because who knows how much student loan debt he has. And also who knows how long it's going to take for him to finish school in North Carolina. And not only that, there's a good chance Charity will probably move to LA after this.
And finally, to wrap up the video, let's talk about the cocktail party and the rose ceremony. There's only like a few things I want to say about it. First, Charity loves kissing. Like she just really enjoys kissing. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I like kissing too. So if I was in her place, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Next, the dress Charity wore during the rose ceremony was so pretty. And I love this shade of red. Not quite the outfit of the episode, but still a slay. And she paired it with a fur. And in general, Charity really loves these like old Hollywood type of looks. Either that or she's just wearing it because it's cold. Next, Michael, John, and Caleb B all get eliminated. And it was no surprise to me that Michael got eliminated. He was wearing this like gray striped jacket with a floral pattern underneath, and that just was not it. And then at the end of the episode, John was basically blaming Brayden for not getting time and ended up getting eliminated. And I just thought, no, John, it's not Brayden's fault. You just weren't memorable to Charity. Sorry about it. And last thing to wrap up the video. So I'm normally not a preview sleuth. Like, yeah, I watch the previews, but I'm usually not like sleuthing, trying to find clues and spoilers and stuff. But during this preview, it was clear they spoiled the top 4. Like, it's clear who 3 of the guys are going to be. So I'm pretty sure Xavier, Aaron, and Joey are going to be in top 4 because if you looked at the previews, Aaron is wearing a Letterman jacket. Why else would you wear that unless you made it to hometowns? Also, Joey and Charity are playing tennis. So why else would they be playing tennis other than he's showing off his hometown? And then Xavier, in part of the preview, was knitting with Charity. Again, why else would he be knitting with Charity unless they're in hometowns together and he's showing them the hometowns? So I'm pretty sure this preview just gave away who basically the top 4 is. I don't know who the last person in the top 4 is. And at this point, when it comes to predicting a winner, I have no idea who's gonna win, but I just know that I want Aaron to lose. I really hope that Aaron loses and I hope he gets crushed hard. And if I was in Charity's shoes, it would be an easy pick for me. I would pick Xavier, but the fact that Xavier reminds her so much of her ex, I just don't think she's gonna pick him. And not only that, I just have a feeling he's not gonna get picked. So I just love Xavier, but I just don't think it's going to happen for him. And that is the end of the episode and the end of this review. If you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.